Hello fellow duelists and collectors. Today I'm going to be showing you my budget or basic Twilight, Lightsworn, Blackwing, whatever deck. This is essentially just a throw up of cards that were spares that I decided to turn into a deck because they were just sitting around and could be a deck, and so this helps for beginner players and for intermediate players, but nowhere near expert. Anyway, first, Chaos Sorcerer. It's very simple. I had an extra one, and it's a replacement for like Blackluster Soldier, Envoy of the Beginning, and it's just a good card to have in a Chaos or Twilight deck. One Elf and the Raven for the Blackwings. One Garroth, the Lightsworn Dragon, which is oftentimes the attack powerhouse of the deck, so it's pretty good to have. Garroth, I would have more, but I don't think I had any extras. I think I used them all for my other 3 Lightsworn decks, so now it's just the one left. 2 Jane, because it's, you know, sort of the original backbone of Lightsworns with an 1800 attack, 2100 when it's attacking. It's just a good card, sense 2. 1 Shura. I think I'd have more Shuras, but I didn't want to have too much of any one monster in this. 1 Lila. 1 Aaron for defense monsters. And then there's 2 Kalutes. I know this doesn't look like Kalute because I took the picture from an Allied Justice Kalaos off, and then I sort of glued it onto a Kalute that I had. This was back in the day when I was getting a bunch of Raging Battle Packs and Hidden Arsenal for that matter. And I had so many spare Kalutes that I just decided to do this. Sometimes I regret it, but sometimes I think it looks really cool. So, plus it is a winged beast type of bird thing. All right, 1 Boreas the Sharp. He's actually in here because when he gets sent to the grave, that's good for you, and Lightsworns will generally do that. And so in the grave, he can be removed from play to protect you from battle damage or your monster being destroyed by battle or something like that. But what's special about it is it'll destroy the opponent's monster that battled your Blackwing. So that's just cool. It's an extra insurance protection in there. Damascus, he is like a Kalute, but he just adds 500 attack, which is no big deal, honestly. It's good, but not really. I would switch it out in a heartbeat. Arcus, Lightsworn Druid, mainly here for the protection of Lightsworns and for the variety of Lightsworns. Gus the Backlash, he is definitely useful for the sake of special summoning him before you have any monsters and hopefully tribute summoning him for Garroth, but he's definitely just a good card to have. Kochi. You definitely want to summon Kochi with Shura's effect, but otherwise Kochi's just another tuner in the deck that can be helpful. Feign the Steel Chain is one of those I'd switch out in a heartbeat, but you know, it can attack your opponent directly, and that can be good, game changing, especially if you have Kalute. It could be very helpful. Shire, she can definitely have a decent attack point boost in this deck, but since there's a limited number of Lightsworns, definitely not that great, but still good, definitely. Sorry, I said definitely a lot. Okay, Raiko is just a bonus protection, and so since you have Raiko and Mistral and the Rogue, Lightsworn Rogue, they're all monsters that you initially set face down in defense mode, and your opponent, if they played you once, will guess that one of these is the monster you put face down, and if they haven't, they'll have no idea, or just assume it's Raiko, so that way, like, you could have others that prevent your opponent from understanding your strategy. But I chose these 3 just mainly because he can destroy, this prevents the battle damage, and it's a tuner, and then this one is, this returns from the graveyard a Lightsworn to your deck, and you draw a card, right. Gives you a draw and a return, so that's definitely good. And again, these are extra cards, so it's not like the best stuff. 2 Glorious Illusion. I honestly should have replaced one of these, or maybe even both, with Call of the Haunted. Call of the Haunted could definitely easily replace this and be more applicable in the deck since only half the deck's Lightsworns. Only half the monsters in the deck are Lightsworns. So yeah. And then Blackwing Backlash works great in this deck because the Lightsworns will send the Blackwings to the grave, and that's where you want them to use this, and so it works with each other, works well in this deck. Lightsworn Barrier, just to block attacks. If you have the card, easily substitute for Mirror Force or some other simple cheap card that prevents the attack of your opponents or destroys their monsters. Vanquishing Light, because, well, I didn't have an extra Black Horn of Heaven or Horn of Heaven or Grand Horn of Heaven or one of the cheaper Horn cards to negate, or by any means extra Solemn Strikes or Solemn Judgments. Anyway, then we have Blackbird Close. This is just for the Blackwings. Actually, I kind of forgot what it does. You can send a Blackwing to your... Oh yeah, this lets you summon Blackwing Dragon when your opponent's activate effect. Monster activates its effect. And if you control Blackwing Synchro or Blackwing Dragon, then you can activate that from your hand, so that's interesting. Fake Feather, it copies your opponent's trap card if you have a Blackwing. Beckoning Light's a great card for Lightsworn decks. I would always recommend it almost. It just lets you get whatever lights from your grave you want by sending your hand. Localized Tornado is like a end game sort of protectionist play. It'll just bring you what you need back into the deck so you don't deck out, which is easy to do with Lightsworns. Compulsory Evacuation Device is staple, decently, I would say fairly good staple. Realm of Light, for the Lightsworn's sake, it honestly just, it helps them, but it's generally helpful. Yeah, right, protection. Okay, then we have 2 Gravity Lash to lower your opponent's monster's attack by their defense. Glowing Crossbow, because I had an extra, it's a new card, and it'll help boost Blackwing's attack power, so it's definitely good to have. Fisher, I shouldn't need to explain, it's super basic. Anyway, then we have Silverwind the Ascended, even though that is the least likely to summon, still in here just for the sake of the possibility. Blackwing Dragon for Blackbird Close, or just for if you summon like Shura and Kochi, they can summon Blackwing Dragon, but he's really just here for his attack power, and if you happen to prevent the effect damage, that's awesome too. So that's good. And then we have the brothers, Raikiri and Chidori. Destroys cards, gains attack power. I don't need to say much about them other than they are good Blackwings, and I had extras. Armedwing pierces the defense of an opponent's monster, and he's probably the most likely to summon out of any of the synchros, but he definitely is a decent synchro card. Then we have Blackwing Graham, the Shining Star. This one's in German, but basically he's decent. He's good enough to have and not good enough to keep if you have better cards. Gachi Gachi Ga Tetsu is actually just because there's enough 2-stars in this deck that he's really likely to summon, but he's just helpful. He's not really that great or anything. I'd probably switch him out in a heartbeat depending on the cards in the deck. And then finally, Z-Man the Ape King I wanted to have in here, I really did, but I didn't have, like if I had Gale in this deck, I could have totally had it in here. But this is actually one of the few cards that would work in a Blackwing Lightsworn deck because it needs a Dark Tuner and a non-tuner Beast type monster. So for the Beast types, you have, real quick, you have the Rinyan, and then you have Raikou. And then, so those are both 2-star Beast type monsters, right? And then if you had Gale, and you had both of these, or like let's say you had, you could even go with a 5-star Blackwing tuner, which there is that one that I should have grabbed it that you could special summon, but he would definitely be good in this, is a 5-star Blackwing Synchro or tuner. But anyway, if you have Gale with these two, you can summon Z-Man the Ape King, and he has a pretty good effect. I'll read it out loud for you. If this card attacks, your opponent cannot activate any spell or trap card until the end of the damage step. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can select that monster and send one monster from your hand or your side of the field to the graveyard to negate the attack. So he negates attacks, and he prevents your opponent from activating spell or traps until the end of the damage step. So that's definitely good. And if you could, I would build a Blackwing Lightsworn deck that could incorporate him. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a like, and if you want to see more like this, please subscribe. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.